right, welcome back. We are continuing our work on Vergil's meter. Last time we actually did some real Latin dactylic hexameter to get you started. And I asked you to work through these lines. And I previewed them for you. And do whatever it takes. If you have to write them out to leave you room over the top or print them out, do that. And go very slowly at first. Don't get in a hurry. Because if you get in a hurry, you're going to you're not going to have much of a foundation for future work. So this is the time to stay calm and work with all deliberate speed. All right, so let's see how this works. So it's am, ma, virum, que, cano, troiai, qui pri, mesab, oris, Italiam fato. Now I'm giving a little extra emphasis to the first syllable of each foot so that you can hear where we are. When I come down on a syllable, you know you're at the beginning of a foot. And the foot then is either going to be D, da, da, or D, da. Okay, so this is a bit artificial, but it's really slow and deliberate. So, Italiam fato profugus lavin jaque venit litora multilet teris jacta tusetalto vi superum saevae memorem uno nis obiram multa quoquet bello passus dum conteret urbem inferet que Deos latio genus unde latinum albani que patres at qual tai moi nia Romae. All right, so there it is. Now, next slide, let's break it out so that you can see it. All right, now let's take a deeper look. So, a, ma, ar, ma, virum, que, cano, troiai, qui pri, mus ab oris, Italiam, excuse me, fato profugus lavin jaque venit litora. Now here we have a lot of elisions, but you're just going to treat them as if they're one word. Multilet teris jacta tuset alto vi superum saevae memorem uno nis obiram. And there we go. Line 5, multa quoquet, as he lied, pelo, I should say, quet pelo pasos. Now that's long by position because the S is followed by the D. Dum con deret urbem. And now the last two lines. In, long by position. That's also long by position. In feret quedeos latio genus un de latinum al bani quepatres at qual tai moi nia romai. All right, there you go. Now you look at the line 7, you see there are lots and lots of long syllables there. Albanique patres at qualtai moenia Romae. Now, when Vergil does something like that, when you have a kind of a striking line that's really long, there's some linguistic reason he's doing it. He's trying to underline something or underscore or enhance the meaning of the words. And then you think about what it might be. And in this line, he's talking about the really tall walls of Rome. And so it might be that he's just, imagining that you're looking at it from the ground and you're going, wow. If you look at a tall building, you're awestruck and you go and you slow down as you look up. And so that's, one possible reason that he's doing this in this line. Okay. Now we need to move on to something else, just a few more little items, and you'll have everything you need to know to appreciate and understand Vergil's hexameters. And we've talked about this before. Caesura is when there's a sense pause in a line. And even though the meter, continues to roll on, you need to take a break. You need to pull back a little bit. It's called a caesura. It comes from the Latin word which means to cut. And in English, we just sort of sense it. But in Latin, we need a little bit of help. And we identify a caesura or a break when a word begins or ends in the middle of a foot. Now that could happen a lot in the line. And there are some people who argue that every time you have a caesura like this, it's significant. But I tend to look only at caesuras that happen in the third and the fourth foot. That is right in the middle of a line. So let's take a look at what we're talking about here. Okay, so let's look at the first line again. You have arma virum, and here the word for man, virum, starts in the first foot but ends in the second. All right, so there's an arguable caesura, a break there. Arma virum, quecano. But again, I tend to look at caesuras in this line. And here we have a big whopping one, or a couple. We have cano, that's one word, and it ends right here. And then troiai also is in the third foot, and then goes to the fourth foot, and then stops again. And so that the effect of having a caesura, two caesurae around this word kind of pulls it out of the line. And you can certainly see how the word for Troy is going to be important when Vergil's talking about the founding of Rome. So troiai sort of comes out of the line like this. Arma verumque cano, troiai qui primus aboris. Something like that. Now the convention to mark a caesura are these two slide dashes, or whatever you want to call them. And you just put them right above where the caesura is. Arma verumque cano, troiai qui primus aboris. Now we think it sounds a little artificial to us because we don't have it, unless you're fluent in Latin, you don't have a feel for how that is doing very much except slowing things down until you understand the words. But another thing that these caesura, noting them, is going to be good for is that it brackets off grammatical units. So troiai is genitive, and it's showing the possession or the source of this from the harbors of Troy. But it's relocated, it's pulled out. This is a phenomenon called hyperbaton, where words that go together are scattered out a little bit beyond what you would normally expect. The Romans were great people, but you couldn't put an accusative case at the beginning of a line and then 5 lines later give the verb that covers it, although they will do that. But with this kind of caesura, it pulls it out and says, now wait a minute, something's coming up. Kano Troiai qui primus aboris. And so the Troiai is sort of held in suspension until you get to the oris by these caesura. Now you think, all right, well, that's fantastic, more to learn. But as you get better, you'll see how the caesura and the pause breaks will actually unite grammar and make it easier to understand. All right, let's look at the next line. Italiam. Okay, now there's a break, but again, it's in the second foot. Fatto profugus. So here, profugus, that's one word. It starts in the third line, ends in the fourth. So profugus is pulled out, and it means a refugee. So Italy, because of fate, a refugee, and he comes to the Lavinian, and then there's a word down here in the next line. Italiam fatto profugus Laviniaque venet. Yeah? And then here's the line to continue. Litora. Multilet, and there's a break. Teris, so on the lands, buffeted, and on the deep. So it pulls this out and it makes it parallel to the alto. Well, it's going to be parallel to the alto. That on the deep means the sea. Litora multilet teris iactatus et alto. Let's go on. Now I'm not going to do the entire scanning. We've done that before, but here are the caesura. We superum saiwai memorem eunonis obiram. And here the memorem agrees with the iram. Mindful anger, remembering anger of Juno. Multa quoquet bello passus, enduring many things and also a war. Dum conderat urbem, until he should found the city or a city. And inferetque deos lateo. Now here you don't have another caesura here. That's just a sense pause. You're not pulling a word out, but you're pulling out words here. Memorem passus, and that sort of completes not a stanza. It completes an expression. Ganusunda Latinum albanique patres at qualtae moenia Romae. So you kind of pick up speed a little bit as you get down to the end of that. Okay? All right. Let's try it one more time from the beginning. It would be really helpful and good for you for a lot of reasons to memorize these, 7 lines. There are several reasons. One is that it will help you to internalize, if you memorize it correctly, the way to read Dactylic Hexamter. That's worth something. Another is, you know how it is, you're studying Latin and you go to grandma and you say, well, I'm studying Latin. And they would say, oh, really? Are you going to be a translator for the United Nations? Something like that. And so you're going to get this all the time. But most of the time they're going to say, oh, let's hear some. And it's nice to have something ready to go. So, I do that. Well, all the languages I know, I have something prepared. So they'll say, oh, you speak modern Greek. Let's hear some. And so I've prepared a little 30-second thing that I rip off. They don't understand it, but it gets you out of it, because you don't want to say, well, I don't know, what do you want me to say? They'll get bored with you and they'll move on to something else. Okay, so this is nice to have. Okay, it sounds like this. Arma virum quecano, Troiae, qui primus aboris Italiam, fato profugus, laviniaque venet litera. Multiletteris iactatus et alto, vi superum saevae memorem, iunonis obiram. Multa quoquet bello passus, dum conderet urbem, inferetque Deos lateo, genus unde Latinum, albanique patres, ad qualtae moenia Romae. Something like that. Okay, now you notice I'm smoothing it out. We're not going, ama verumque cano Troiae qui primus abores Italiam. That would be crazy. Because all the enjambment, all the caesuras, they're structuring it and organizing it. It's like reading, notes on a page of music with the pauses built into it. You just don't have them here. So we have to do it intellectually. Arma virumque cano Troiae qui primus aboris Italiam, fato profugus, laviniaque venet litera, multiletteris iactatus et alto, vi superum saevae memorem iunonis obiram. Multa quoquet bello passus, dum conderet urbem, inferetque Deos lateo, genus unde Latinum, albanique patres, ad qualtae moenia Romae. All right, it doesn't take long. You can do it. All right, what do you say we translate this? I sing the story about arms, which is just another way of saying warfare, and a man, or the man, who first came from the ports of Troy to Italy, a refugee because of, or driven on, or a refugee because of fate. He came to Italy and to the Lavinian shores. Now let's pause right there. A couple things to note. In prose, you would expect there to be a preposition. Italiam, you'd expect there to be ad Italiam or something like that. But in poetry, very often, you just use the case and you can throw out the preposition. And so that takes just a tad bit of getting used to. All right, and also, so Italiam doesn't have ad Italiam, and Lavinia litera doesn't have a preposition either. Okay, let's go on. Multiletteris iactatus, buffeted, knocked around, and that's an adverb, multum, very much, that man was, both on lands and on the deep. And that's just another way of saying the sea. And there are all kinds of technical terms for what's going on here, like this would be called metonymy. So you refer to the entire thing by referring to a part of it or a characteristic of it. But anyway, we'll collect those words as we go along too. Okay, so on the deep, because of the power or I should say with violence, superum. Now this is another thing to get used to. This is actually an abbreviated form of the genitive plural, superorum. Now you look at that, you think, oh, I've got an accusative, masculine, or neuter, singular, but sometimes it's not. It's a superorum. You can leave out the orum, and that kind of makes sense, in Latin, you don't want to be going around saying puerorum, malorum. It gets crazy. So it's kind of a colloquial abbreviation of the genitive plural. With the violence of the ones above, and that would be the gods, because of the mindful, the remembering anger of savage Juno. Okay, and now here you've got saevae iunonis memorem obiram, and so you have sort of locking circles. And when this was read by an expert, like a real Roman who's studied this, you're going to have to use your voice to link those things together. I don't know how exactly that would be done, but something maybe like this. Vi superum sawai memorem unonis obiram. And that might help the listener, because the listener would go sawai, and until you get to this, you have no idea what that is. That could be genitive singular, dative singular, nominative, plural, feminine, right? And so you're kind of holding on that. And then you get to memorem, and well, does this go with that? Of course it happens in an instant, but for a moment, there's just, you're waiting. And the meaning of the words are coming in, but the grammar isn't yet. Okay. So, with violence on the deep of the gods, because of the mindful anger of savage Juno, quoque et, and also passus, enduring, this is from the verb patior, multa, many things, and enduring, suffering because of a war, or maybe in a war, until he should found the city and bring in the gods to Latium, and that's just the word for that area of Italy where Rome is, whence comes, understood, the Latin race and the Alban fathers, our ancestors, and the walls, the Moenia of high Rome. All right, now there's a kind of an unusual way of putting it. We would say the high walls of Rome, because Rome is not high. The walls are high. And so he's just transferring the adjective, which would normally go with Moenia, to Romi. And this technique is called a transferred, and then you use the Greek word for adjective. It could be a transferred adjective, but for some reason it's called a transferred epithet, which is the Greek word for adjective. And we have transferred epithets in English too, when we'll say that was a stupid mistake. Well, the mistake wasn't stupid. The person who did it is stupid. Okay, so we have that phenomenon in English as well. Okay, so henceforth, what we'll do is I'm going to go through the entire thing, all of the AP Latin reading, section by section. We'll do scanning, not in this such detail, but I'll read it for you and translate it for you. All right? Okay.